everyone. It's time to eat, drink, and be merry with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Eat, Drink, and Be Merry show with Nancy and Lisa. You know, we're the crazy mother-daughter travel team on our Love Your Parks tour, but also publishers of Big Blend magazines, a group of digital magazines, one of them being Eat, Drink, Be Merry magazine. And today we're excited to welcome Pratik Rijal and also Nishchal Banskota. Now, hopefully I got their names pronounced correctly here, but they are the founders of Nepal Tea Collective. And I love tea. Nancy, you raised me in Kenya, in tea land, literally,
For
right?
sure.
Actually, I'm part of Karen Blixen's farm outside of Nairobi, in a community called Karen. And so tea is near and dear to us. We've lived and sipped on teas around the world. And so we're really excited to welcome Pratik and Nisha on the show to talk about Nepal Tea Collective. Not only are they award-winning teas, and they are delightful. I mean, when I think about flavor of tea, this is probably the purest tea I've ever had, other than being right there in Kenya way back when. We won't say how long ago that was. And they weren't doing so many pesticides, I don't think, back then. But
Well,
no, but they were pretty pure.
They
But
were using pyrethrum. Remember?
Yeah.
That
And that
wasn't
came
so
from
good.
Rwanda, as I remember.
It actually came from the States.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
When
We
it was
do that in
kicked
this
out of
country.
this, yes, when it was banned for use in the States, States exported it all to Kenya.
See, but
and
this is the
other
importance.
various African countries to use, and they used it on tea.
Well, this is the importance of organic, and that's what I think is so
Exactly.
great about this tea. Is not only it's organic, so that the flavors are pure, and that's what I just kept coming to. The word is pure with this tea, very balanced, and it's just you really want to sit and enjoy it and savor it, just like you would a really good fine wine. But there's a public benefit corporation, so I'm excited to talk about that too. And everything's organically grown and packed in origin, so right there on site. And one of the really cool things they're doing is connecting us, the tea drinkers, with the farmers, and vice versa, because even when you get your package of tea, you actually learn more about the farm. They're going to tell you how that happens, but they even encourage you to send a postcard or a note back to the farmers. So this is super exciting. So I encourage you to go to their website, nepalteacollective.com. They've also got a foundation, which we'll talk about, which is nepalteafoundation.org. So welcome, guys. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much for having us over.
Yeah, this is great.
My pleasure.
That's what I was saying about your tea. Is like, would you agree about the pure word? Is it because of it being small batch and organic?
Yeah, I mean, you basically completely told the complete story about Nepal tea in that
All
1
right, well,
minute,
there it is.
better than I could have done. So you said completely everything about it, and I love the fact that you use the word pure. One of the, and you were talking about organic, and I think one of the things that is super important, and a lot of people might not know this, is tea is never washed in the process of making tea. So the tea leaves when it's plucked, the first time that it gets washed is your cup when you're brewing it. So a lot of people actually don't know this, but in any part of the world, when you're making processing tea, it's never washed. So think about it. If you spray chemicals and all of these different types of insecticides, whatever, the first time it's getting rinsed is your cup. So that is one of the most important reasons you gotta choose organic, especially in tea. I love the way you phrase it, that it seems very pure, because it is indeed purest form of tea for sure.
Why is it never washed? Is there a reason for that?
Technically, one of the things is, in the processing of tea, one of the main things that you have to do is really get the moisture content out of the tea leaves. That's one of the most important things that you need. You need to get 60 to 70% of the moisture come in the tea leaves itself. That needs to be kind of dried out. So that's so that's kind of the first withering part of the tea.
This is interesting about, because we did an interview with a lady from Traverse City, Michigan, years and years ago on tea. And she said she started sampling teas and taking them to laboratories to have them tested. And she said you would not believe the levels of lead and pesticides. And she says, even with an organic label, these big corporations, which I know getting organic is incredibly hard, but she was like, these big names that people just, and she was saying that even getting regular tea bag tea is not necessarily a good thing. And I love that you have the whole leaves, because I think that also brings out this fresher flavor because I think that's part of it. And when we get those tea bags from the big names, and I'm not going to be nasty and say anything, but you know what I mean, that a lot of times it's pretty much, it's swept up off the floor, dust, and here you go in a bag.
Yeah. So most of the teas that are in the tea bags, right? Those are the fannings and dust grade of teas. So when you are making a whole leaf, loose leaf teas, it's a byproduct of that. So that's why the tea bags, which has dust and fannings in it, they are very cheap because of the grade of the tea. And then we actually just specialize on whole loose leaf teas. And then that's why you get the more flavors, more aromas, and more notes to it.
Nish, put up your tea again. I just wanted to put up the tea because you make your tea like me. Like I want the swamp at the bottom.
Yeah, there we go. No, this is actually another one interesting cup that we partner with. So this has a built-in tea infuser, if you can see that.
Oh, that's so cool.
So there's like a small, there's like half part of it. Yeah, I hope I don't drop this, but there's this half infuser that is kind of built into. You just put your tea leaves in, put your water, and then start drinking it from the side. It gets strained right there, and then you just fill in more water. So that's the other thing with loose leaf teas is you can re-steep them. A lot of people don't say that, but you can actually re-steep them for quite a our teas. I steep them for at least 3 times because
that's awesome.
My grandmother used to use cheesecloth and put the tea leaves in cheesecloth and soak it, and she just left it on the pot on the stove and just reheated it whenever she wanted another cup. Seemed to work for her. She had good tea.
Yeah, I mean, if you have good tea, then you can definitely re-steep them for quite a few times for sure. And that's another thing with tea bags that you generally can't do that. Like if by the second time that you're steeping up pretty much Fanning's tea bags, you're pretty much out with the flavors and everything there.
Yeah, and it gets bitter when you try to soak it out. You're like, come on, we want that flavor, but then it gets bitter. You've oversteeped it. You know what I mean?
Then it gets too hot. You're not supposed to make the water too hot.
Wow.
No,
that's what my grandmother told me. And then at the end, she would take all the tea leaves and put them in the garden on top of plants to keep insects away.
Absolutely. That is also one of the best reasons why there's pretty much when you're drinking loose leaf teas, there's zero waste, right? So you're drinking those loose leaf, you're drinking that, and then whatever's left in your cup, you can just put it in basically plants because it has a lot of nutrients that the plants love. So that's exactly what I do as well. I am a big fan of plants as well. So a lot of all of the teas that I use directly goes into my plants.
Wow, cool.
This is exciting. I want to see your cup, Pratik. Let's see yours.
This is a small cup, and then I do have like a big infuser.
Oh, cool. Well, today I love New York.
There we go. Yes, there you go.
We're in Maryland, but I love New York.
I have dogs and cats.
Oh, there we go. So, it's always different wherever we go, but I have to tell you, because I didn't have all the tea. Well, where we tried the tea was at our friend Cheryl's in Lubbock. Hi, Cheryl. So that's where we started. I'm still drinking it now, but the Cosmos tea, she had just done this huge flight to Alaska. She's been on a cruise. She came back and we were going to have dinner together. And she's like, I don't want to like have tea that's going to jack me up too much, but I'd like to have some flavor. So Cosmos, that really seemed to be like the perfect flavor for her, has that little bit of a chai kick in there. And so, it didn't, overwake her up because she needed to sleep that night. She's a travel agent. So she was busy with people. So she's like, I need my rest, girls, but I want a good tea. So I'm like, we got this. but really getting on the phone and scanning the QR code from the packaging. First thing she did was, oh, the packaging. This is so cool. I have a little container. She's got the tea. She stole it. It's in her kitchen, and then
She did.
Listen, we're friends. We share.
Uh-huh.
She's is it bamboo that you're using for because this makes this very, tea is it's a ceremonial thing too.
Mhm.
So it makes it very special that it comes, not in the typical cardboard box kind of thing, that you're getting something special when it comes in. So let's start with the packaging of this.
Yeah. So the packaging itself, so with everything that we do, we want to have an impact, right? So with the packaging also, we train our farmers to weave the bamboo so that they can make it into purse. And then we actually train them, and then we purchase it from them so that it's like an additional source of income for them in the longer run. So that's the reason behind us using the bamboo packaging. And then it's just like
biodegradable too. I mean, and bamboo is one of the easiest things to grow and keep regenerating, right?
Exactly. I think the more you cut, does it grow more, Nishchal?
Yeah, I mean, just with the bamboos, it's absolutely just easy to grow. It's an easy, easy plant to grow. So we have a lot of bamboos in our farm as well, and that is where we came up with the idea of, and this is kind of like a skill that people in our farms already have, and it is just that we wanted to create some product which could generate them income, and at the same time be useful for our packaging, and which is the best of both worlds in this case. And it is just a phenomenal, one of the ideas of how we are kind of helping our farmers just beyond by selling their teas, but really by supporting other layers of income for themselves.
And bamboo is such a beautiful plant. It's so tropical, and I love it. I really like seeing in some botanical gardens will have like a whole block of it, just waving.
San Diego Botanical Gardens has the largest collection in the country. I think it is.
Really good one.
It's beautiful, but this is.
Plant.
I love that you're thinking about recycling, what the packaging is, and then it connects back to the farmer when you're talking about supplementing their income, adding it, being an extra revenue stream. That's something really important when we look at all the farmers, even just across America, the small farmers. I'm not talking the big monocrop things. We won't get there. But the small farmers, a lot of them are opening up bed and breakfast or doing events, special events and things like that to supplement their income, because it's hard work running a farm. You're dealing with what's going on with nature. And at the same time, it's like getting it to the consumer. So that's kind of what I think is cool about Nepal Tea Collective, is that you're helping the farmer. It's the last thing. Does a farmer want to farm and then have to get on the computer and find the customer? That's the other hard thing. So I think what you're doing is you're like just eliminating that extra hard work for them.
Yeah, totally. And I think just to understand what the tea industry is, how has the tea industry been running for, centuries, really. It is pretty much outdated. When you think about the tea supply chain, what happens really is there is almost 6 to 7 middlemen in the tea supply chain that create little to no value at all. So think about, a tea producer, where there's a tea producer, there's this local consolidator, there's this auctioneer, there's auction houses, and then there's exporters, there's importers, there's wholesalers, retailers. Like, think about so many different people in the supply chain, right?
You make me want to have tea and wine.
Serious. But one of the things is, and I don't say that, some of the middlemen don't make or create value. They of course do, but at the expense of, in today's, the tech-enabled world, there is better ways to do things where you can really create value for the farmers. In general, these middlemen make millions while the tea producers live less than $2.
Yeah.
That's not fair. That's absolutely not fair. So that is one of the biggest reasons why we want to eliminate all of the middlemen, create value right at the farm and just at origin, where the packaging happens, the tea processing and everything happens. The packagings are brought from different local areas, and the complete final packaging is done in the farm or just the origin, and then it is shipped outside. So with that, we take care of pretty much all of the process. Farmers can just be making amazing teas and just do what they're best at and not worry about, how can I sell this tea, right? We want to be able to, at the end of the day, we want to be able to really be able to sell whatever they produce, be able to sell it at a better price, give them the profits that would otherwise go to these unwarranted middlemen, and be able to really uplift them and empower them. And that's one of our biggest vision, is to get 1 million farmers out of poverty within their generation and within our lifetime. So that's kind of like the big goal that we've taken. We have no idea how we're going to measure that, to be honest, but at the same time, that is the North Star that we have. And we are going to figure out how we're going to do that as we go. But that is the North Star, because we really want to empower at least 1 million farmers in our lifetime and their generation.
You got to bang your teapots.
Well, it's that's so important, because while you're doing that, you're saving the land.
Oh, yeah.
Because if it goes to the big developers, I don't know, pretty soon we're all just going to be sitting on a square of concrete. It's because they have no safety guards, stop guards who stop them from making profit over what's realistic and what's nice and what's good. So I think it's important to support our farmers, especially organic farmers of any kind. Really need to be helped, just so we can save the land.
Yeah, and then the other reason why we do everything out in the origin itself is, since there are so many middlemen in the process, right? The teas, the quality is compromised in the process. So if you are bringing teas directly from the source and then handing out to our customers out here, first of all, there's no unwanted touching of the teas and all those things. So people are getting the freshest teas available, and that's going to add value to our farmers back home as well, and then adds value out here as well.
And then also, I was reading that you started an initiative of, when people purchase the tea, that you're doing part of the profits are going back to planting more little saplings.
Yeah, so that is another big step that we've taken since this year, because what we have found out is, one of the things that needs to be told in the tea industry is, if the tea cultivation as it is ongoing, or is just going to go the way it is, there is not going to be tea in a few decades.
Yeah, I believe that.
One of the biggest reasons for that is the tea pluckers, right? The tea pluckers are at their 50s or 60s. And the second generation is not going to sit there and pluck teas.
No.
And that's a global problem. So if we don't make our teas, or kind of like the tea industry does not move towards the space of wine or whiskey or these kind of beverages where we're adding value to the farmers, or making tea process or tea plucking process lucrative enough, we're not going to have amazing teas anymore.
Right.
And that's sad. That's sad, because tea is the second most popular beverage in the world.
It's huge. It unites.
It's going to happen with coffee too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the same problem.
Exactly. So what we want to do is, with every single purchase, what we are committing to is, we want to plant a tea sapling in the name of the consumer, and be able to put it in, specific parts of the garden. And really what it does is, one, it really helps in terms of, our very small initiative towards, climate change also, because tea is itself a regenerative plant. So it actually grows for years and years. So in China, there are tea trees that go for thousands of years.
Wow.
And in Darjeeling and in India, there are tea plants that have been there for like almost more than 200 years, right?
Wow.
So it
Cool.
grows and grows. So that is going to help in sequestering a lot of carbon from the atmosphere, and that's going to help in combating climate change. That's just one side of the coin. The other side of the coin, what we have figured out is, with a vague, rough calculation, we have figured out that every single tea plant adds $2 per year for one farmer. So while that might not seem big, or it might seem very trivial when you think about $2 per year, but think about it in this way. If we have 1 million orders, that's $2 million going to the additional income for the farmers per year. And that's huge.
That is huge.
So that is how we see it. It's kind of like it's an initiative that really tackles climate change in our very small little efforts, but at the same time really empowers our farmers to earn more from the tea saplings itself. And we're also thinking a lot of in terms of carbon credits and all of that, but that comes on later. But it really just planting trees is one of the best things you can do.
Yes,
Absolutely.
we've done many shows on that. Even American Forests have been on our show a couple times talking about the tree equity score. And if you go to treeequity.org, you can type in your neighborhood and see if you have enough trees. And most of the times they'll find it in underprivileged areas. We put parks where if you have a lot of money, you get a park in your neighborhood. If you don't have a lot of money, you don't get a park and you don't get the trees. So when there's when you look at the economy, not only are you adding benefits for the farmers financially, but there's a health benefit as well. The more trees, the less people have asthma, the less people have heat issues, so it's a climate change thing, but it also is about health, quality of life. I mean, there's places in this country, we talk about having food deserts. There's also we're creating these mini islands of a desert. Where does a kid get to swing on a tree or eat an apple under a tree with a book? We're in a problem there. So I think even just the awareness you're creating is an important thing. I think you're really doing a full circle, which is very cool. And the fact is, there's a lot of companies that will try and do that, but not have the quality product behind it. And you're doing real full circle with quality products. But tell us about this, this kind of business model, because I see companies going more towards that. And I think the more we do those little things that we can each do, that makes bigger changes. We don't all have to go out and do some massive thing, but if we each as a company and a consumer just do what we can consistently, huge change will happen within that ripple. So tell us a bit about how you set up your business, because it's not a normal corporation.
Yeah. So we recently changed, we actually changed from, we were just an LLC when we started, but recently changed into public benefit corporation. So what a public benefit corporation is it is basically putting or getting yourself accountable towards your public mission. So our public benefit statement, which is required by we're incorporated in the state of Delaware. So one of the things you require is a public statement that what is it that you are going to do for the benefit of the public. So basically our mission or the vision is really to empower the farmers in developing countries and really bring their products and help them empower them to make better organic and natural products and help them lift out of poverty. So that is kind of like our biggest statement. And we have to, every single year, we have to show that what we have done to cater to that mission, or what are the actual aspects of, or actual actions that we have taken to really do that, right? So in a way, it is really making ourselves accountable towards the mission of the company. And we're a mission-driven company. We wanted to just walk the talk, right? There's a lot of companies that just talk and, at the end of the day, even though they say we have done this and that and all of that, what's there to back that up? And we want to make it hard for ourselves to really show that this is what we have done, and this is the mission, and the impact comes first. And so the reason this is going to be popular, and this is going to be the normal way of business, really, is how I think about it in terms of business is, previously it was, the business was really just about shareholders, right? Maximizing shareholders' value. And that is still in corporations, that's the biggest or the most important mission, or that's the fiduciary duty of a corporation, to maximize shareholders' value. What a public benefit corporation says is we are maximizing stakeholders' value. So not just shareholders, all of the stakeholders' value. So for example, if there's if in case of, if in case some bigger corporation wants to acquire us, for example, right? If they want to acquire us and we have competing bids from one of the corporations that is just putting in money, and there's another company that really aligns with our values and really cares about the mission, but it is giving us less money, but we want to go with that. If we were just a corporation and not a public benefit corporation, it would be our fiduciary duty to really go with the person or maximize shareholders' value and go get bought by the company that is paying the most money, right?
Okay.
Because we're a public benefit corporation, what we can say is, hey, you know what? This might be just maximizing shareholders' value, but according to our company's mandate, we have to maximize stakeholders' value.
Right.
So we believe that it is better for us to go with the other company that is paying less amount of money, but is really impact first, and it aligns with our mission. So that is kind of how we are legally protected in terms of really maximizing stakeholders' value and really caring about every single person that is related to the company, and not just the people who are putting money or kind of are focused on maximizing returns. So that's kind of like
I love it.
Best, and we thought that really aligns with what we want to do in terms of yes, are we here to make money? Yes, but at the same time with a mindset that is impact first, right? And that gives us this public benefit corporation really became a very good channel for us to kind of incorporate in such a way.
Yeah, we recently interviewed a lady who started at Tori. I'm not even pronouncing that. I know I'm not. Etra. That's it. It's a mentorship for young girls. It's a French name, and it's an organization she created where she takes young girls who want to ask questions of people who've done really well in business and careers, like people from Google, or I want to meet the leader of Spotify and ask a question: how do I get in? How do I do this? And so she really connects them through books and through events and just through social media. It's a really cool thing. And I said to her, well, is this a nonprofit? Because I think a lot of us have this idea of like, we really care about certain things and we have this hard time balancing. I mean, even us, we should be a nonprofit for what we do with parks and public lands. But like I was saying to her, are you a nonprofit? And she's like, no, we're public, corporate collective, like you're saying, this, this benefit part of it. And I think if we do more of that, I think it would change the stock market, which would mean companies would be looking at not just like you're saying the dollars and cents, but if the stock market calculated impact, imagine you listen to NPR and you'd have the guy with the marketplace go, well, today's impact was this, Could you imagine like how it would change how we do business and how we consume as human beings? It's like, oh, the climate change initiative. Well, today we offset this much carbon,
Well, think
could
of
you
it the other
imagine
way.
that kind of change eventually?
Think of it the other way, where if you're not responsible for your actions and you're only there for profit, then the newscast should be ended with, today so-and-so did this, and that is now going to ruin another 50,000 acres of land that cannot be recovered. Thank you very much. But this guy has a new boat. Isn't that great? If we could just do a newscast like that.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Definitely. I think just maximizing impact, and impact has been in a lot of companies' minds. And I think at the end of the day, business, how I feel about businesses are created to solve problems, right? So businesses are created. The fundamental reason businesses are created is to solve a particular problem, and with that, I think that part needs to come a lot more out, needs to come out a lot more
Right.
than just thinking about, just profits, dollars and cents and all of that. So right on track.
Yeah. Pratik, I wanted to go to you on this because, with what we're talking about with making these impactful changes and positive changes for the farmers, you're also benefiting the consumer by giving us a product that's healthier for our bodies, right?
Yep.
What has been some of the feedback from your customers in regards to once they start, are they sending a letter and saying hello to the farmers? What, because with the QR code on the packaging, just kind of explain how that works, because it's really cool. Have you seen that interaction happen yet? Because I know that's a new thing.
Yep. So basically with the QR code, I think we started that back in 2018, where we really wanted to, so one of the values that we have is we always wanted to connect the primary producers with the ultimate consumers, right? So what Nishchal did back in 2017, I believe, was he took few people out to our tea garden for a tea tour, right? So when he did that,
That's cool.
yeah, he gave them an immersive experience of what being a farmer is. And then people who visited the garden, they actually got a chance to appreciate the process of making tea so that they could appreciate each cup they would drink. So with that in mind, we found out that there are like a lot of people who are not able to go to the farm itself. So that's the reason why we started the QR code, where people could just scan it and then just see all the information without having to visit the farm. And then to humanize the process, we added our pictures of our tea farmers who are plucking the teas, and then so that you can see the faces of the farmers who are helping you get that cup of tea that you're drinking every day. So the feedback from our customers, it has been amazing. They love how transparent we are, and then and they are being able to trace the source of their teas, because be it any beverage, there's not much of a work done where people can go and seek information about where their coffee, wine, beer is made, or who are the farmers or who are the primary producers who handle the process, right? So that's the reason why we started the QR code. And then people just love what we are doing. The other thing that we just started back in September of 2021 was why not? So we are connecting the producers and consumers with QR codes by taking them to the farm. But why not do a tea tasting session?
Yeah, we just missed that. We were driving. I'm like, come on, pull over in the middle of Arkansas woods. Yeah, that's going to help.
Yeah, we are going to have one more end of this month. So
cool.
If you would like to join, I can definitely send you a link. But what the virtual tea tasting session did, I still remember the first time we did it was in September. And then we brought Sarad Dai, who is one of these smallholder farms that we work with. He makes amazing teas. So when we did the virtual tea tasting, at the end of the session, the people who joined in, they loved him. They got to know the story behind how a tea plucker now owns a tea, now operates a tea garden, right?
Oh, wow.
They got a chance to get that story. And then at the end, Sarad Dai was, it's been about like 30 to 40 years I've been involved in the tea industry, and I've been making all these amazing teas. This is the first time that I have been able to see who my consumers are, who the people are.
Why am I doing all this work, right?
Yeah. How cool.
Right. And then on the consumer side, people have been drinking teas for thousands of years, right? And then they have never had a chance to see who the person behind making those amazing teas are. And then we provided that platform. So it's so heartwarming when you hear these stories. And then I think that is what keeps us going every day. Nishchal and I do this work. yeah, it's just
That's one of those days you wake up in the morning, you're like, okay, what, that's, you're
Mhm.
excited about going to work, and that's the awesome, awesome thing, I love that, what we have, with the internet and social media and all these
yeah.
tools really
Mhm.
helps bridge gaps between cultures and,
Absolutely.
farms to consumers. We are able to really connect everyone, and going on the website, you also have a section showing the 4 main farms that you work with. And I looked at, isn't one of your families? Nish?
Yes, one
Nish. I
is
wouldn't say Nisha for some reason, but sorry, Nish. I'll get it right. I
yeah.
was just making you German for the day.
Oh,
That's,
okay, I'll take that.
Why not?
So yeah, one of them is my family farm. So it was started by my father in 1984. So we've been producing teas for over
Wow.
38 years now.
Nice.
And one of the reasons we're also, the mindset about our companies is always social impact first, mission driven company, was because the whole idea of a tea farm that my father started 38 years ago was to get the community out of poverty. He really created the whole farms in such a model that the farmers pool their lands, about 100 farmers pool their lands and created a company. So the workers themselves were not just employees, but the owners of the company itself. And that really motivated them. And it was the first of its kind structure that really, started the tea farm. And also he was kind of a brilliant, he is kind of a brilliant guy where he had this idea of organic farming in the 80s when, that organic and all of that concept was really materialized and kind of like got popular just in the 90s in the West. So, so the whole idea was born out of seeing him, how he has, with this leaf, Camellia sinensis, the tea plant, how the community has transformed over the course of 4 decades. It's just phenomenal. And that is one of the things that I took in right after I graduated to see what can I do to internationalize the concept of whatever's going on in our farm, and really be able to replicate the model of our farm in other smallholder tea farms. And that's kind of like what we're working on. But yeah, so one of the farms is ours, family farm. One of the things that we are going to do very soon, within a month or two, is really also have tea maker profiles. So basically you'll see a lot of the tea makers that are actually making your teas and hear their stories firsthand in the website.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Good.
Pratik, you've got all these different teas. You've got oolong, you've got, your typical black tea. Well, none of your teas are typical. I shouldn't say that, but like, I'm just, things we understand, the white teas, going back to the cosmos with that chai, so it's just a beautiful gift. People can purchase, what they want to purchase, but you have gift sets, but you also have a tea club. Is this something, we can purchase online, right? Here in the States. Are you open to other countries being able to purchase yet? And tell us that part, because everyone needs to drink your tea.
Yeah, so right now, you can purchase everything from our website in the States and then in Canada. However, we haven't had a chance to really build the platform where we can support international deliveries up until now. But still, from Shopify platform, people are still able to buy it from anywhere in the world.
Cool.
And then, we do have some of our teas, we do export it to Europe and other parts of the world from the garden itself. So you can find our amazing teas everywhere, to be honest with you.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Cool.
And isn't one of the farms also carbon neutral, like the only carbon neutral factory?
Yeah,
Sonam's
factory is one of the carbon neutral factories in Nepal.
Wow, that's amazing when you think about that.
Yeah.
This comes full circle. You guys are doing a good job. You make our day happy when we get to interview and taste tea. We can't beat that. Tea and wine and coffee. I was just thinking about, like, I'd love to see, the coffee industry has had a really rough time, trying to make it fair trade and, just environmentally, and, thinking like going back to, my childhood in Kenya, we had obviously Kenyan coffee. and they couldn't even produce it there. So you could see
No.
this beautiful coffee being grown. The tea and the coffee were kind of grown in the same area. I think they like the same things, but you could never really drink Kenyan coffee
You had
because
to,
it had to go to another country to be,
and
you
then
know,
you had to import it back.
and then import it back. So
Yeah.
it was like,
It was
so I think
crazy.
that just that everything's on one site, that cuts out like a bunch of cost, and that's another way of decreasing the carbon that we're putting out into the atmosphere too, with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Everything being on site.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. As we said, we do our platform really allows people from any part of the world to buy. And one of the things that we, if people are really interested in making that connection with the tea producers, what we also recommend that you mentioned was the Nepal Tea Club, which is a subscription service that we offer, where people every single month, customers receive 2 exclusive teas. Those are teas
nice.
that are not really available anywhere else, even on our website. But those are only small batch teas that are made by specifically all of these tea makers, and that is the teas that we actually taste during our tasting sessions and all of that. It's a great intro for people who are wanting to get into tea and learn the nuances and the differences and the varietals and all of these different things, to really get educated in terms of tea and what the whole world of tea has to offer. And so that is also something that we really want people to kind of try and see, really become subscribers in that as well.
I love that, because you were just saying even earlier about, like wine and whiskey and beer. Look at the craft beer industry now. It's like wine and beer pairings and all of this. And the wine industry, even in this country, it took, I would say it's only the last 15 to 20 years has it really started to be consumer friendly. It used to be very snobby to go in. You better know everything about wine to go to a winery and go to a tasting. It's and it's changed. I think breweries came in and said, we're having fun over here and we're making money and everyone's having a good time. You got to start loosening up and connecting. And it's really changed. And I think the tea, you always just, here's your box of tea and you have no idea. And there's none of that slow down taste. What are you you tasting the vanilla and the white Prakesh? Are you tasting, the chai notes, the fruit, are you getting the bitter and the sweet together? And I think we've missed out on that on tea, or it's always the traditional English high tea.
Yeah.
And it's kind of shoved into that one thing.
Yeah.
Or your herbal tea. And it's like no one's kind of just, hey, let's learn about it all.
Yeah. A lot of people actually find it very interesting and kind of sometimes look at me in disbelief when I tell them, like, every single tea in the world comes from that same plant. No matter where you are, where you're growing, what kind of teas that you're drinking. For pure teas, think about any variety in the world, it all comes from that same exact plant. And people look at me in very much disbelief in terms of, how is that even possible? But that is the art and the science behind this special leaf, Camellia sinensis, where, that is able, it's exactly like wine, when you're thinking about, there's many different cultivars of, like, even the grapes and everything, but it's exactly like wine, where the tea leaf has thousands and thousands of cultivars, the cultivated variety that it has. But at the same time, the art and science of making that tea really is dependent upon, the natural factors, the terroir and the soil and the south facing, north facing tea gardens, the plucking and all that kind of stuff. And at the end, again, it's about the tea maker who really blends all of that together, combines the nature's, leaf, and really brings about, thinks about the science behind it also, and kind of like creates this blend, which is a work of art. And we've never seen tea as a work of art. And I think it's time for us to really see that as a piece of art and really, get that education to a lot of people. And that's what we're here to do. Yeah.
And then I think that's the reason why we really wanted to bring our subscription model to the public, is because that enables our tea farmers and producers to experiment with a lot of new techniques, experiment with new type of teas that they want to produce, so that here they are being able to experiment, and then the customers can enjoy different type of teas every month.
I love it. Leslie, before you go, the foundation, tell us about that, because it was looking like you're helping purchase livestock and scholarships. And it's like, how you guys need to have a lot of tea to keep going with all of this. you need the tea with the caffeine.
Yeah. So, yeah, Pratik, did you want to talk about the foundation, or I can?
Yeah, I can tell a little bit more, and then you can add up. So when, like Nishchal mentioned, when our grandfather started the tea garden, he really wanted to empower the farmers, uplift the farmers, right? So through our legacy tea garden, we were always supporting all the social impact projects that were in the tea garden, providing free housing for all of our full-time farmers, providing scholarship to our to the kids of our full-time farmers. So we were doing a lot of social impact projects from the legacy tea farm itself. In 2017, we started Nepal Tea Foundation so that we can make much more impact and then have a legal organization out here as well. So with what we have done through our Nepal Tea Foundation is, first, during the COVID, we started a Farmers Emergency Fund, so that if any of the farmers contract COVID, we would be able to help them with like their medical checkups. And then if there's lost wage, we can compensate them for that. And then we also focus a lot on the educational side of things. So up until now, when we started out in 2021, we had this goal that we will be providing scholarships to about 21 kids through their sponsors. I think we reached that goal in a month. So that goal was then increased to about 41 different kids. So Nepal Tea Foundation, it's just one of our way to just give back to the community. Nishchal, did you want to add anything to that?
Just quickly, I think one of the we were already doing a lot of work that is impact related through the company itself. And then during COVID, that was kind of like the formalization of Nepal Tea Foundation, because during COVID, as we sent emails about what's happening at the farm and everything to all of our customers, right? So, and we were sending all of these emails about COVID and what was happening, and we were reached out by a lot of our customers that they wanted to help. And so people cannot donate money to a for-profit company. Right. So what we wanted to do was really create a channel for a lot of customers that wanted to help, with small little dollars even, right? So, and we wanted to channel that fund to really help out our farmers who were, insurance is not a thing in rural part of Nepal. So if you contract COVID or whatever happens to you, everything is out of pocket, which is crazy expensive. Wow. So these farmers are living, at a very bare minimum wage. And at the same time, if they have to bear all of that health expenses and all of that, it's just going to put them.
You can wipe out everything.
Yeah, exactly. So we kind of tried to mitigate that through some of the donations that we received from our our customers. And we also separate 1% of our total revenue to go back to the foundation, so that we can help in terms of improving their, organic practices, or just a lot of different things. So that's kind of like how the foundation runs, and it really came into fulfillment through just other people wanting to support our work, and we wanted to create a streamlined channel for them to do it.
I love that, because there's so many emergencies these days, right? Disasters, floods, earthquakes.
It's so much.
Hurricanes, tornadoes, depending on where you live here, wildfires. And, I think there's something, with what you're doing is a really good example of what is possible. It's shifting our mindset. And while we're all fighting politically, really, sometimes I think it's just get off your butt and do something different and change. You don't have to wait on everybody else. And yell and scream. I mean, our country is really divided.
Mhm.
And at the same time, I just feel like rather take action instead of yelling at each other over
Right.
people you don't even personally know. You know, that's I was telling
Exactly.
about our friend Cheryl. She's like, stop yelling at each other. You don't even know these people. Just so rather go and do something where people are connected over something positive. And I think that is, you know, that we don't have to rely on I don't know. I'm just saying if we can all take care of each other,
Mhm.
you know. So I
Sure.
think it's just a really cool model, and
Mhm.
I'm excited to see it keep growing, and just a real, what a great way to, you know, to what a great day of starting off interviews. It's very positive. Thank you. I'm like,
Yeah, it's
I had a
cool.
good cup of tea. This is such an
Mhm.
inspiring, it's inspiring, very inspiring, not
Thank you.
just inspiring and going, oh, that's really nice. It's motivating to do something. So
Mhm.
and I think for
Well, it's-
entrepreneurs out there to really sit and take a good look at their business model, and it's a really, I think it's fantastic, you know, doing something that you care about, thinking about, you know,
Mhm.
who you work with. You know, I'm tired of this whole thing where we're so disconnected that the consumers are not nice to the people they're purchasing from. And there is an issue with that in the world too. So I think this is bringing humanity back together, you know?
Yeah,
So very
that's
good.
huge. But yeah, at the same time, I think we're doing a tiny bit of what's needed. And you know,
Yeah.
I think as you earlier mentioned, if every company, every individual does, like, you know, one small little thing, that's going to create a ripple effect. So rather than, again, yeah, I totally agree. Rather than yelling at people who you don't even know, like,
Exactly.
do something, and maybe if you can impact one person's life, that's amazing.
It's a big deal.
You
Wouldn't
change
it-
somebody else's life, like even if it's one person, right?
Even wouldn't it be nice to go on social media and see a lot of good things?
Oh yeah, totally.
Wouldn't that be nice? You know, hey, I
That
had a
would be
great cup of
fantastic.
tea. Yeah, and I went and helped the dog down the street, and then I did this. And wouldn't it just be nice if everybody put nice stuff up?
It's a positive ripple effect,
know?
and ripples create waves, you know?
Yeah,
It does.
and people could be in a good mood.
Oh, we need that.
Wouldn't
We
that be
need good
nice?
moods.
Oh
It's
yeah,
good
totally.
moods.
Definitely.
And listen, everybody, it's July, right? So
Yeah.
it's so I just want to say, remember there's the Christmas in July thought pattern. So when you think about the tea club and the gifts, you know, don't wait till the holiday season to start giving. Just saying, you can plan, you can get things online. You don't have to go do the crazy Black Friday holiday. Maybe that's the one thing about COVID. It kind of stops some of that
Yeah.
nonsense.
No way.
So, you know, so let's say you actually, you know, give a gift that's really giving. So take a look at that. And the tea club, I
Yeah.
think, is really a great way to get people into tea, and it's educational and that's empowering.
Well,
So
you know, my grandmother had this custom. If you had something you wanted to discuss, like, okay, no, first we're having a cup of tea first.
There we go.
Yes.
No discussion
Yes.
without a cup of tea first.
that's right. How many
And
times if something goes wrong,
Everybody
you sit
calmed
down
down
with
and
tea?
relaxed, and
Yep.
you know, and you could have a civil conversation about a subject and solve a problem while having a nice cup of tea. And of course, you had to have biscuits with it.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah, you got to have the cookies.
You gotta have
And
cookies.
but I will say about my Nana, she would do that.
Yeah.
Everybody would have their conversation, and then she'd make another cup of tea, and she spiked that tea.
Yeah, she did.
She did.
She
She
did.
spiked that tea. She was a good granny.
Oh,
Every,
man.
everyone again, nepalteacollective.com is the website to go to. And when you're on there, they're on social media as well, so follow there. Also check out nepalteafoundation.org. And of course, we're going to be featuring them in our Eat, Drink, Be Merry magazine.
Mhm.
It's one of our newest digital magazines. The second issue is out. I want to say we're blown away. I want to thank all of our readers and radio
It's
audiences
amazing.
that, because the magazines have podcasts, articles, recipes, but it's these magazines. One of them is already almost at 10 million. Our Quality of
Yeah.
Life magazine
We're like, wow.
readers, and our Eat, Drink, Be Merry's over 2. So we want to thank you all for joining us, for, you know, just being part of our journey too. So check it out. Go to bigblendmagazines.com or go to Blend Radio and TV.com. Sign up for our newsletter, and every month you'll get a new Big Blend magazine in your email box. So thank you so much. Oh, and check out our new Eat, Drink, Be Merry Facebook group as well. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Thank you
for having us.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for having us. Yes, I finished my cup of tea.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Now you got to go read your tea leaves.
Absolutely.
Oh, cool.
Take care.
All right.